The final challenge brought Jin Woo face-to-face with the legendary Void Render in the arena's most sacred combat chamber. The creature that had remained undefeated for over 200 years defied easy description. It appeared as a shifting mass of dark energy that could become solid, razor-sharp claws or impenetrable armor within seconds. The Void Render had killed hundreds of challengers from across the galaxy. Each death added to its power and knowledge, Base making it stronger and more experienced with every victory. It knew the fighting techniques of dozens of species and could adapt its tactics to counter any opponent's natural abilities. The combat arena was a perfect circle with smooth metal, walls that rose 30 meters high. There was no cover, no weapons, and no escape routes. Thousands of alien spectators filled the viewing galleries above, eager to witness what they expected to be the swift execution of the presumptuous human who had dared to change their sacred. Tradition's General Vorthak stood at the central viewing platform and made the final announcement. His voice carried across the entire station as he spoke to audiences throughout the galaxy who were watching this historic event through holographic broadcasts. "Behold the end of human arrogance," the general proclaimed with obvious satisfaction. "The Void Render has never been defeated because it learns from every battle. It absorbs the knowledge and strength of every warrior it destroys. This human cannot run, cannot hide, and cannot win against such perfect evolution." The massive doors at opposite ends of the arena opened simultaneously. Jin Woo entered from one side, carrying only his basic military equipment and notebook. The Void Render flowed into the arena from the other entrance like liquid shadow given deadly purpose. The contrast between the two opponents could not have been more dramatic. As the combat timer began, the Void Render attacked exactly as Jin Woo had expected it would. The creature used overwhelming force and techniques that had proven successful against every previous challenger. Claws of solidified darkness sliced through the air where Jin Woo had been standing moments before. Energy blasts that could have destroyed small spacecraft cratered the arena floor as Jin Woo rolled and dodged with desperate-looking speed. To the watching spectators, it appeared that the human was merely postponing his inevitable death. The Void Render was faster, stronger, and more experienced than any opponent Jin Woo had ever faced. But Jin Woo was not simply trying to avoid the creature's attacks. He was conducting reconnaissance under fire, just as he had been trained to do, in dozens of impossible military missions. Each dodge and roll gave him new information about the Void Render's capabilities, reaction times, and most importantly, its behavioral patterns. The creature fought like the perfect predator it had evolved to become, but it followed rules and patterns based on its centuries of previous victories. It used techniques that had worked against crystalline warriors, energy beings, armored fighters, and every other type of opponent it had encountered. But it had never fought a human before. After several minutes of what looked like desperate defensive action, Jin Woo did something that had never happened in arena history. He stopped running from his opponent and began speaking to it. Not taunting or begging for mercy, but actually attempting to communicate during active combat. "You are an impressive fighter," he said calmly while continuing to evade the creature's attacks. "I have studied recordings of your battles, and your tactical adaptations are remarkable. You learn from every opponent and incorporate their strengths into your own fighting style." The Void Render paused in confusion. In over 2 centuries of arena combat, no challenger had ever attempted communication during a deathmatch. Its consciousness, which was far more complex than most beings realized, struggled to process this completely unprecedented behavior. Jin Woo continued his psychological operation while maintaining safe distance from the creature's deadly appendages. He spoke about the Void Render's long history of victories, its obvious intelligence, and its unique position as the arena's eternal champion. More importantly, he talked about what that existence must have been like. "You have been alone for so long," Jin Woo said with genuine sympathy in his voice. 200 years of killing challengers who came here seeking glory or redemption. Victory after victory with no real satisfaction because none of them were truly worthy opponents. You are the most successful warrior in galactic history, but you have never had an equal to fight beside you. Something unprecedented happened then. The Void Render began to respond not with attacks, but with actual communication. Its voice was a harmony of darkness and energy that conveyed emotions as well as words. It spoke of centuries of isolation, victories that brought no joy, and an existence defined entirely by ending the lives of those who dared challenge it. "I have waited so long for an opponent who could understand the void," Render said in its haunting voice. "Every challenger seeks only to destroy me and claim my position. They see only the prize of victory, not the burden of eternal combat. You are the first to recognize what this existence has cost me." Jin Woo listened carefully to every word, while continuing to analyze the creature's behavior and psychology. The Void Render was not just a killing machine. It was an intelligent being that had been trapped in a role it no longer wanted to play. It had become the arena's perfect warrior, but had lost its purpose beyond simply winning fights. What if there was another way? Jin Woo proposed carefully. What if instead of fighting to the death, we demonstrated something new? A challenge that tests not just the ability to kill, but the wisdom to choose when killing is not the answer. Show the galaxy that true strength comes from knowing when to fight and when to find better solutions. The arena fell completely silent as Predator and Human began the most unusual negotiation in galactic history. The Void Render had never considered that there might be alternatives to the endless cycle of challenge and death that had defined its existence for centuries. "You propose cooperation instead of combat?" the Void Render asked with obvious curiosity. "This violates every tradition of the arena. The spectators expect to see one of us die today. How can victory be achieved without death?" Jin Woo smiled for the first time since entering the arena. "Because true victory is not about destroying your opponent. It is about achieving an objective that makes everyone stronger. Let me show you what humans call asymmetric cooperation. We can demonstrate capabilities that neither of us could achieve alone." The Void Render considered this proposal, while the watching crowds grew restless. They had paid to see blood and death, not philosophical discussions between opponents. But something about the human's confidence and certainty made the ancient creature willing to try something completely new. "Show me what you mean," the Void Render said finally. "If your approach fails, we can always return to traditional combat. But if it succeeds, we may have found something more valuable than another meaningless victory." Jin Woo pulled out his notebook and began explaining human military tactics that could be adapted to work with the creature's unique abilities. Instead of fighting each other, they would demonstrate how different types of warriors could combine their strengths to solve complex tactical problems that neither could handle alone. The galaxy was about to witness the birth of a completely new type of arena challenge, one that tested strategic thinking and cooperative problem-solving rather than simple survival instincts and individual combat prowess. The first challenge dropped all 12 competitors into a massive maze filled with deadly traps and hungry predators. The goal appeared simple enough: reach the center of the maze and claim one of only 6 glowing tokens that would allow advancement to the next round. Half of the competitors would be eliminated in this trial. Most of the alien warriors immediately began hunting each other. They assumed that eliminating rival competitors was the fastest path to claiming a token. The crystalline being and the energy creature started fighting each other with spectacular displays of power that lit up the maze walls with brilliant flashes of light and sound. Jin Woo took a completely different approach. Instead of rushing into combat or racing toward the maze center, he spent the first 10 minutes at the entrance, carefully observing everything around him. His fellow competitors thought he was paralyzed by fear, but Jin Woo was conducting a tactical assessment. He watched how the automated defense systems reacted to different types of movement and energy signatures. The traps were designed to respond to specific triggers and patterns. He noted how the predatory creatures moved through the maze following established patrol routes and behavioral patterns. Most importantly, he identified something the other competitors had missed entirely: The maze was not designed to be conquered through brute force. It was designed to be solved like a puzzle. The arena's creators had built it as a test of intelligence and adaptability, not just fighting ability. The tokens were not randomly placed. They were positioned according to a logical pattern that rewarded understanding over violence. While two massive aliens tore each other apart in a battle that shook the maze walls, Jinwoo quietly slipped away from the main corridors. During his reconnaissance in the holding area, he had spotted maintenance access points that led to service tunnels throughout the arena station. The maze would have similar infrastructure. The maintenance corridors were exactly where Jinwoo expected to find them. The arena's designers had never considered that a competitor might treat this challenge as an infiltration mission rather than a gladiatorial contest. The service tunnels were unmonitored and undefended because no warrior had ever thought to use them. Following the maintenance route led Jinwoo directly to the maze's central control room. Inside, he found banks of computers and monitoring equipment that controlled every aspect of the challenge. The entire system was automated and run by artificial intelligence that had been operating unchanged for centuries. More importantly, the system was designed to be transparent to arena staff for safety monitoring purposes. Jinwoo had spent years learning to exploit similar computer systems in human military installations. The alien technology was more advanced, but the basic principles were the same. Within minutes, Jinwoo had accessed the maze control systems and downloaded complete maps, showing the location of all 6 tokens. He identified safe routes to each token that avoided both traps and predator patrol areas. He also discovered override codes for the creature containment systems and trap activation sequences. But instead of simply collecting a token for himself, Jinwoo made a decision that would change arena history forever. Using the maze's own communication system, he contacted the 5 strongest remaining competitors and offered them information that could save their lives. The negotiation was brief and practical. Jinwoo provided each surviving competitor with the exact location of a token and detailed instructions for reaching it safely. He asked for nothing in return except that they remember who had made their survival possible. The alien warriors were initially suspicious of this unprecedented offer. Cooperation between competitors was unknown in arena history. Each species had always fought alone, relying on their natural advantages and evolutionary gifts. The idea of helping rivals seemed impossible to understand, but as Jinwoo's intelligence proved accurate, and the competitors began reaching their assigned tokens without encountering deadly traps or predators, they started to realize that this human thought about combat in ways they had never imagined. He was not trying to defeat them. He was trying to ensure that the strongest warriors advanced to the next challenge. The massive bone-covered alien reached its token first, following Jinwoo's route exactly. It had expected to fight through waves of automated defenses and hungry creatures. Instead, it walked safely through corridors that had been cleared of all dangers. The creature looked around in amazement before activating its communication device. "Human, how did you know this path would be safe?" it asked in its grinding, stone voice. "I have fought in many battles, but I have never seen tactics like this. You gave away information that could have guaranteed your own victory." Jinwoo was already moving toward his own assigned token when he received the transmission. "Because winning is not about being the only survivor," he replied. "It is about achieving the objective with maximum efficiency. 6 warriors need to advance to the next round. Now 6 warriors will advance." The spectators in the arena were in complete chaos. Never in the recorded history of the trials had competitors worked together to ensure mutual success. The alien audiences had expected to watch most of the challengers die in brutal combat against traps and predators. Instead, they witnessed unprecedented cooperation that made the first elimination round look easy. General Vorthak watched from his command observation box with growing concern, replacing his earlier amusement. The human had not just survived the first challenge. He had fundamentally changed how the challenge worked. Instead of a test of individual superiority, It had become an exercise in tactical cooperation and resource sharing. The crystalline warrior was the last to claim its token. It had been locked in combat with the energy being until Jin Woo's transmission reached both of them simultaneously. Instead of fighting to the death, they had agreed to follow the human's plan, and both advanced to the next round together. As the 6 successful competitors gathered at the exit from the maze, they looked at Jin Woo with expressions ranging from confusion to respect. They had expected to face a weak prey species that would be quickly eliminated. Instead, they had encountered a being who could analyze complex situations and find solutions that benefited everyone involved. The bone-covered alien approached Jin Woo as they waited for transport to the next challenge area. "You are not like other warriors," it said slowly. "You do not fight to prove you are stronger than others. You fight to achieve victory for your entire team." Jin Woo nodded and made notes about the maze systems he had accessed. The information might be useful in future challenges. "I fight to complete the mission," he said simply. Individual glory means nothing if the mission fails. The other competitors exchanged glances as they processed this alien concept. Warriors across the galaxy fought for personal honor and individual recognition. The idea of subordinating personal success to group objectives was almost impossible for them to comprehend. As they boarded the transport to the second trial area, the 5 alien warriors began discussing Jin Woo in their various languages. They realized they were no longer facing a series of individual challenges. The human had turned the arena into a cooperative mission where success depended on working together rather than defeating each other. The arena's designers had created trials to test the combat abilities of individual warriors from different species. They had never considered what would happen when someone approached their challenges as a military operation requiring tactical thinking, strategic planning, and efficient resource allocation to achieve clearly defined objectives. General Vorthak received reports from his technical staff about the unauthorized access to maze control systems. The human had penetrated their security and accessed classified information without triggering any alarms. More disturbing was that he had used this advantage to help his competitors rather than eliminate them. The remaining trials would need to be modified to account for this unprecedented development. The arena had always been about individual superiority and natural selection. Now it was becoming something entirely different thanks to one small human who refused to play by the established rules. The arena station was larger than any structure humans had ever built. It orbited a dead world, like a metal moon covered with lights and weapons. As Jin Woo's shuttle approached the docking bay, he could see thousands of alien ships surrounding the station. Representatives from across the galaxy had come to watch another species try to prove themselves worthy. The docking process took over an hour because of the heavy traffic. Jin Woo used the time to study the station's exterior through the shuttle windows. He noted the locations of weapons systems communication arrays and what looked like escape pod launchers. Even before setting foot inside, he was gathering intelligence that might prove useful later. His escort met him at the airlock. Sentinel Kalin looked like a cross between a beautiful woman and a deadly spider. Her 4 arms moved with graceful precision, and her 6 eyes missed nothing. She seemed almost sad as she looked at the human who had come to die in the arena. "You are smaller than I expected," Kalin said in accented English. "Most warriors who come here are larger and more obviously dangerous. Are you certain you wish to proceed with this challenge?" Jin Woo followed her through corridors filled with alien technology he did not recognize. The walls hummed with energy and the air tasted of ozone and metal. Strange creatures in uniforms watched him pass with expressions ranging from curiosity to pity. "I am certain," he replied simply. "How many competitors will I be facing in the first trial?" Colin explained the arena's structure as they walked. 12 competitors would start the trials, but only 6 would advance to the second round. The challenges were designed to test every aspect of a warrior's capabilities: strength, speed, intelligence, adaptability, and finally the ability to defeat the unbeatable champion. The holding area buzzed with conversation in dozens of languages Jin Woo could not understand. His fellow competitors were nightmares made real. A creature that looked like living crystal towered 3 meters tall. Something that might have been made of pure energy flickered between solid and gas states. A being covered in natural armor plates carried weapons built into its own body. Jin Woo noticed immediately that all the other competitors were studying each other. They measured physical capabilities, estimated strength levels, and identified obvious weapons. None of them were paying attention to the arena itself or the staff members who ran it. They were thinking like warriors, not like soldiers. Warriors focused on defeating their opponents in direct combat. Soldiers focused on achieving their objectives using any means available. The distinction might seem small, but it could mean the difference between victory and death. A maintenance worker walked past carrying some kind of electronic device. Jin Woo watched carefully as the alien used a control panel to access what looked like service corridors behind the walls. The arena was not just a fighting arena. It was a complex facility with infrastructure that needed constant maintenance and monitoring. General Vorthak appeared in person to address the competitors. Up close, he was even more intimidating than on the communication screen. His scales looked like they could stop bullets, and his claws could tear through metal. When he smiled, his teeth looked like they belonged on a prehistoric predator. "Warriors," the general announced in a voice that echoed through the chamber. "You have come from across the galaxy to prove your worth in combat. Some of you will advance to face greater challenges. Most of you will die in the attempt. This is the way of the arena and the way of natural selection." The alien general seemed particularly amused when he looked at Jin Woo. The human's standard military uniform and basic equipment looked pathetic compared to the natural weapons and advanced technology of the other competitors. General Vorthak made a show of offering enhanced weapons or protective armor. "Human you may request additional equipment before the trials begin," the general said with obvious mockery. "Your primitive weapons will be useless against creatures that have evolved on worlds far deadlier than your soft planet. We can provide energy weapons or protective shields if you wish." Jin Woo politely declined the offer and asked a single question. That seemed to confuse the alien commander. "Are there any restrictions on how victory is achieved in each challenge, General? Do I need to defeat my opponents in specific ways, or does only the final result matter?" The general's confusion was obvious. Every warrior asked about weapons armor or the nature of their opponents. No one had ever asked about the rules themselves or what methods were allowed for achieving victory. It seemed like such an obvious question that no one bothered to ask. "It only results matter." "Human," the general replied after a moment. "How you achieve victory is your own choice. The arena tests worthiness, not methodology. Use whatever means you possess to succeed or fail." Jin Woo nodded and thanked the general, politely. As the alien walked away, clearly puzzled by the human's strange priorities, Jin Woo began his real preparation. While other competitors meditated, prayed to their gods, or demonstrated their fearsome natural abilities, Jin Woo started doing something none of them understood. He began taking detailed notes, not about his opponents, but about everything else. The arena staff and their behavior patterns. The facility's layout and the variations in artificial gravity he felt in different sections. The way different groups of alien spectators reacted to various competitors. The locations of security cameras and communication equipment. A massive creature covered in bone spikes approached Jin Woo with curiosity. It spoke in heavily accented English and asked why the human was not preparing for combat like the others. Its voice sounded like grinding stone, but held no hostility, only confusion. "I am preparing," Jin Woo replied, while continuing to write in his notebook. "I am just preparing differently than you might expect." The bone-covered alien looked at Jin Woo's notes and seemed even more confused. The writing meant nothing to a creature that had spent its entire life focused on physical combat and direct confrontation. It walked away, shaking its massive head at the strange behavior of the small human. Jin Woo continued his reconnaissance until the announcement echoed through the station in hundreds of languages. Let the trials begin. Competitors report to Staging Area 1 for the first challenge. As the 12 warriors were led toward their first test, most of them roared battle cries or performed ritual preparations for combat. Some prayed to alien gods, while others flexed massive muscles or tested deadly natural weapons, the energy being flickered faster as excitement built. Jin Woo walked silently among them, carrying only his notebook and basic military equipment. To the other competitors, he looked unprepared and doomed to quick failure. They could not understand that he had spent the last hour gathering more useful intelligence than they would collect in the entire competition. The other warriors saw preparation for honorable combat against worthy opponents. Jin Woo saw reconnaissance for an asymmetric warfare operation where the only rule was survival and victory by any means necessary. The arena's designers had created challenges to test warriors. They had never considered what would happen when a human soldier treated their tests as a military operation with objectives that needed to be achieved efficiently and effectively. Master Chief Petty Officer Jin Woo Nam surfaced from the dark waters off Busan after spending 6 hours underwater. The dive would have killed most people, but Jin Woo barely seemed tired. At 34 years old, he had completed more dangerous missions than entire Special Forces units saw in their careers. The underwater training facility was hidden beneath the waves where few people knew it existed. Jin Woo and his team used it to practice missions that officially never happened. Today, they had been working on underwater demolition techniques that could disable enemy submarines without being detected. Jin Woo climbed onto the metal platform where his team waited. Senior Chief Mi-sun Kang handed him a towel and shook her head with amazement. She had served with Jin Woo for 8 years and still could not understand how he made impossible things look easy. "Chief, you were down there longer than anyone thought possible," Mi-sun said. "The water temperature should have killed you in half that time." Jin Woo dried his face and checked his equipment. Cold water training was essential for special operations. The human body could adapt to almost anything if it was trained properly. More importantly, the mind could find ways to survive when the body wanted to quit. The secure communication device on the platform started beeping with an urgent message. Jin Woo picked it up and saw that the call was coming directly from Naval Command in Seoul. Only the most important missions used this communication channel. Master Chief Nam report to Naval Command immediately, the message said. Classified briefing required. Come alone. Jin Woo looked at his team members who were watching him with curious expressions. Urgent calls from high command usually meant someone important needed a problem solved quietly, the kind of problems that regular military units could not handle. The helicopter flight to Seoul gave Jin Woo time to think about what kind of mission might require his specific skills. He had trained in underwater operations, mountain warfare, desert survival, and urban combat. His specialty was adapting to any environment and finding ways to complete missions that seemed impossible. At Naval Command, Jin Woo was escorted to a secure briefing room where Admiral Hyun Woo waited with several other high-ranking officers. The admiral looked serious, which meant this mission was more dangerous than usual. Jin Woo had worked for the admiral before and trusted his judgment. Master, Chief, we need a volunteer for a mission that will represent all of humanity, Admiral Hyun Woo said without wasting time. The briefing is classified, but I can tell you that failure means more than just your death. It means Earth loses its chance to join the galactic community as equals. The Admiral explained about the alien challenge and the combat arena. Jin Woo listened without interrupting as he learned about creatures from across the galaxy that had evolved to be perfect killers. Warriors with natural armor that could stop bullets. Beings that could regenerate lost body parts. Fighters so strong they could bend metal with their hands. The preliminary intelligence reports made disturbing reading. Some arena warriors could survive in the vacuum of space without protection. Others could shoot energy beams from their bodies like living weapons. Many came from high-gravity worlds where they had developed strength levels that seemed impossible by human standards. Why? Me Admiral Jin Woo asked when the briefing ended. There are stronger soldiers and better fighters in our military. What makes you think I can succeed where others would fail? Admiral Hyun-woo smiled for the first time during the meeting. Because every other soldier I know would try to fight these creatures using strength and conventional weapons. You are the only one who would look for a different way to win. Jin Woo studied the alien intelligence reports more carefully. Every documented arena warrior fought exactly the same way their species had always fought. They relied on natural advantages and evolutionary gifts. Their fighting styles had not changed for thousands of years because they did not need to change. Humans were different. Human warriors adapted their fighting techniques based on what they learned from their enemies. They studied weaknesses and found new ways to exploit them. They used tools and weapons and environments in ways their creators never intended. The other creatures fight like their ancestors did 10,000 years ago, Jin Woo realized. They use the same techniques because those techniques have always worked for them. They do not know how to change. Admiral Hyun-woo nodded approvingly. That is exactly why we chose you, Master Chief. These aliens see combat as a test of natural superiority. You see it as a problem that needs to be solved using whatever tools are available. Jin Woo accepted the mission immediately, but his team members tried to talk him out of it when he returned to base. Mi-sun Kang had read the classified reports and knew how dangerous the arena would be. She had served with Jin Woo through dozens of impossible missions, but this seemed different. Chief, these creatures are not like human enemies, Mi-sun said, with worry in her voice. You cannot sneak up on them or outthink them the way you do with terrorists and enemy soldiers. They are designed by evolution to be perfect killers. Jin Woo understood her concerns, but he had already seen something important. In the intelligence reports, every alien warrior had been defeated at least once. Even the current champion had weaknesses that could be exploited. The key was finding those weaknesses and using them effectively. His preparation began immediately. Instead of focusing on becoming stronger or faster, Jin Woo studied every recorded arena match he could find. He learned how different species thought and fought. More importantly, he learned how they had been defeated in the past. The alien saw this as preparation for honorable single combat. Jin Woo saw it as reconnaissance for an asymmetric warfare operation. He was not preparing to fight fair. He was preparing to win using any means necessary. Captain Eugene Choi from the Diplomatic Corps tried one last time to convince him to withdraw from the mission. The political implications of failure were severe, but the personal cost would be Jin Woo's life. Earth needed him to succeed, but they could not guarantee his survival. Captain, with respect, Jin Woo replied calmly, the aliens made one critical error in their planning. They assumed humans fight according to the same rules as everyone else. They are about to learn that assumption is wrong. As his transport prepared to depart for the arena station, Jin Woo packed only standard human military equipment, items that the aliens would consider primitive and useless. What they did not understand was that human warfare was not about having the best weapons. It was about making any weapon work in your favor, regardless of the circumstances. Commander Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the human ship New Seoul and watched the alien warships surround them. The massive vessels were 3 times larger than anything Earth had ever built. Their dark metal hulls gleamed with weapons that could turn planets into dust. Dae-ho had seen many battles in his career, but nothing like this. The main screen flickered and showed the face of an alien commander. General Vorthak looked like a giant lizard crossed with a nightmare. His scales were black as space, and his eyes glowed red like dying stars. Sharp teeth filled his mouth when he smiled, and that smile meant trouble for humanity. Your species thinks it can join our alliance, General Vorthak said in perfect English. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. You humans are weak-soft. Creatures who have barely left your own star system. You know nothing of real war or real strength. Lieutenant Hae-Jin Park stood beside Dae-ho and watched the alien general with careful eyes. She had studied alien military tactics for years and knew this was not a friendly visit. The Galactic Defense Coalition controlled most of the known galaxy. They decided which species could join their alliance and which ones stayed primitive and weak. You will prove your worth in our combat arena. General Vorthak continued. This is how all species earn their place among the stars. Your strongest warrior will fight against creatures from across the galaxy. If they survive, you may join us as equals. If they fail, your species will be marked as too weak to matter. The alien general seemed to enjoy explaining what would happen next. The arena was famous throughout the galaxy. It was a place where warriors went to die. Over 3,000 different species had sent their best fighters to prove themselves. Only 47 had succeeded. The rest became food for the creatures that lived in the arena. Dae-ho listened to every word, but showed no emotion on his face. He had been a Navy SEAL before becoming a ship commander. He knew how to hide his thoughts from enemies. The alien was trying to scare them into giving up without a fight. The creatures in our arena are not like anything on your soft world, General Vorthak said with obvious pleasure. Some have armor that can stop starship weapons. Others can shoot energy beams from their bodies. Many are so strong they can crush metal with their bare hands. They have evolved on worlds where only the deadliest survive. Ensign So-Young Lee worked at the communications station and listened to every word. She was young but smart and could see what the aliens were really doing. This was not just a test. This was meant to destroy human pride and make Earth submit to alien control. The current champion of our arena has not lost a fight in over 200 years, General Vorthak continued. The Void Render has killed more than 500 challengers. It grows stronger with every victory. Your human warrior will last perhaps 10 minutes before being torn apart. General Vorthak expected the humans to beg for mercy or ask for easier terms. Instead, Commander Dae-ho did something that surprised him. The human turned to his communications officer and spoke in a calm voice. Ensign Lee, open a channel to Earth. Tell Admiral Hyun-woo that we accept their challenge, the alien generals. Confident expression changed slightly. He had expected fear or desperate negotiations. Instead, he saw something in the human's eyes that he did not understand. It was not fear or anger, but something else entirely. The human looked almost eager for what was coming. You accept? General Vorthak asked. He seemed confused by this response. Most species begged for more time or tried to negotiate easier terms. These humans simply accepted the challenge as if it meant nothing to them. We accept, Commander Dae-ho repeated. When do we begin? The alien. General recovered quickly and explained the rules. Earth would have 1 week to choose their champion. The warrior would be brought to the arena station where they would face a series of increasingly deadly challenges. If they survived all tests, they would face the Void Render in single combat. Victory meant alliance membership. Defeat meant death and human submission. After the transmission ended, the bridge crew looked at their commander with worried expressions. They all knew this was meant to be impossible. The aliens had chosen this test because they believed no human could survive it. They wanted to humiliate Earth and force them to accept a lesser position in the galaxy. Commander, why did you accept? Lieutenant Park asked quietly. She had served with Dae-ho for 5 years and trusted his judgment, but this seemed like suicide. Because they made a mistake, Dae-ho replied. He was already thinking about who Earth should send to the arena. The aliens think they know everything about human warfare. They believe strength and natural weapons are all that matter in combat. The commander walked to his private office and began reviewing personnel files. He was not looking for the strongest human or the one with the best weapons. He was looking for something very different. He needed someone who could think like a soldier, not just fight like a warrior. The aliens had studied human military history, but they had misunderstood what made humans dangerous. They saw the weapons and tactics, but missed the most important part. Humans did not just adapt to their environment. They changed their environment to suit their needs. They did not just use better weapons. They found new ways to use any weapon. Deho pulled up files of Special Forces operators from around Earth. Navy SEALs, Marine Force, Recon, Army Rangers, and other elite units. All were deadly fighters, but he needed more than fighting skills. He needed someone who could look at an impossible situation and find a way to make it possible. The perfect candidate was currently underwater off the coast of South Korea. Master Chief Jin-Woo Nam was not the strongest human alive or the fastest, or the best shooter, but he had something more valuable. He had survived more impossible missions than most people could imagine. More importantly, he had done it by thinking differently than his enemies expected. Jin-Woo had earned his reputation by completing missions that other people said could not be done. He did not win by being stronger than his enemies. He won by being smarter and more creative. He found weaknesses that others missed and turned disadvantages into advantages. Commander Deho made his decision. Earth would send Jin-Woo Nam to the arena. The aliens expected a human warrior who would fight according to their rules. Instead, they would face a soldier who made his own rules. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity did not play fair, and that was exactly what made them dangerous. The outcome of Jin-Woo's conversation with the Void Render sends shockwaves through the galactic community. Instead of a traditional victory through combat, both beings agree to a demonstration that fundamentally challenges the arena's purpose. They engage in a complex series of tactical scenarios, each testing different aspects of strategic thinking, problem-solving under pressure, and leadership capabilities. The Void Render, whose intelligence had been focused solely on combat for centuries, discovers new ways to use its abilities. Jin-Woo demonstrates how human military tactics can be adapted to work with the creature's unique capabilities, creating combinations neither could achieve alone. Their partnership showcase becomes a masterclass in asymmetric cooperation that leaves the spectators spellbound. General Vorthak faces an unprecedented situation. There has been no death, no traditional victory, yet both participants have clearly demonstrated capabilities far beyond anything seen in arena history. The spectators demand a ruling, but the established protocols have no framework for what has just occurred. The solution comes from an unexpected source. The 5 competitors Jin-Woo helped in earlier rounds. Led by the massive crystalline warrior, Cracks, they formally petitioned the Galactic Defense Coalition to recognize a new category of arena victory, strategic innovation. They argue that Jin-Woo has proven something more valuable than individual combat prowess, the ability to transform conflicts into collaborations. The political implications ripple across the galaxy. Humanity's application for alliance membership can no longer be dismissed as premature. More importantly, Jin-Woo's approach has demonstrated that Earth's military philosophy offers something the galactic community desperately needs: creative solutions to seemingly impossible problems. Commander Dae-ho Kim, watching from the diplomatic vessel, receives a priority transmission from Earth. Admiral Yun-Woo's message is brief. Prepare for full diplomatic negotiations. The galaxy wants to learn from us. As Jin-Woo and the Void Render continue their demonstration, developing new tactical approaches that blend human creativity with alien capabilities, the arena's fundamental purpose begins to evolve. Instead of a test of individual dominance, it becomes a laboratory for interspecies cooperation and strategic innovation. General Vorthak, his initial contempt replaced by grudging respect, makes a formal announcement that will be remembered across the galaxy. The human has not simply survived the arena, he has transformed it. The implications are clear. Humanity isn't just joining the galactic community as equals. They're positioning themselves as innovators and problem solvers in a universe that desperately needs both. Jinwoo's mission ends not with a traditional victory celebration, but with the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. As he prepares to return to Earth, he carries with him not just humanity's acceptance into the Alliance, but the foundation for a partnership that will reshape how the galaxy approaches conflict, cooperation, and the endless challenge of species working together among the stars.